Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschacharya Shatane Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasani Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchkapatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All right, so last night we concluded with verse 22, which is very amazing verse, very wonderful verse, in which the Lord explains how he helps the devotee, how he feels about his devotee, how he intervenes in the life of his devotee, if there's special circumstances, or any time even, but perhaps particularly if there's special circumstances. There are a couple of further points I'd like to mention, actually. We note that in verse 22, Lord Krishna says he carries to the devotee what the devotee lacks, and he preserves what the devotee has. There's a subtlety in the understanding of those two statements. The first part is that the devotee is lacking something, but Krishna carries it, brings it, delivers it, gives it to the devotee. Now the devotee, everything is fine. But previously the devotee was lacking that. Now, why? Why was the devotee lacking that? Because according to his or her karma, they were not to get that. They were not to get that. And they didn't have that. The laws of karma rule. But then Krishna saw that my devotee here, my devotee can use this in my service. My devotee would like to serve me in this particular way. And so Krishna thinks, all right, let me contradict the laws of karma, and I will provide that. I will give it to my devotee. Although according to karma, the devotee should not have it, and indeed the devotee did not have it. But even though it's extraordinary, Krishna provides what the devotee lacks. And the principle's the same in regard to preserving, basically. The devotee has something which, according to karma, the devotee should lose. But then Krishna holds on to it for the devotee. Yes, if Krishna did not do that, if Krishna did not preserve that thing which the devotee has, then the idea subtly is that the devotee would lose it. But now Krishna intervenes, and the devotee does not lose it. The devotee has it by the mercy of the Lord. So you see, these are nice points, very nice points, subtle points about this very, very wonderful verse, truly wonderful verse, about how the devotee, but how Krishna takes trouble. Krishna accepts trouble for his devotee. We read the little excerpt from, I think it was Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. If you recall, it was, who was it? It was Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who says that Arjuna complains. Arjuna may complain that, my Lord, the devotee is putting you into difficulty here, having to go out of your way, engaging Krishna in his service, in the devotee's service. So wouldn't it be more Krishna conscious if the devotee did less service and looked after himself rather than putting Krishna into some inconvenience? So we read that last night, and then Krishna says, no, it's not inconvenience. I do it because I want to. I do it because I enjoy it. I love doing that. Just like a father loves to take some trouble to help the very dear family members, to help them. Or again, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gave the example of a boy, young fellow, who has a girlfriend. And the boy has some feelings for her, but he's looking for opportunities to express that. And then sometimes she may ask him, can you carry me across a river perhaps, or something like that? And he doesn't complain that, oh, you're heavy. No, he's happy to get that opportunity to express his feelings. So Krishna feels like that also. So this is all very nice. And we go on now to verse 23. And here, Krishna, he's going to really make it clear. He's going to make it clearer than he does anywhere else in Bhagavad Gita, that demigod worship is not right. One should not worship the demigods. Rather, one should simply engage in devotional service to Krishna. Yes, so okay, let's read verse 23. Those who are devotees of other gods and who worship them with faith actually worship only me, O son of Kunti, but they do so in a wrong way. Wrong way. Isn't that? Sure. Krishna's really coming to the point, getting to the point, and not messing around, isn't it? The term which is used is avidi purvikam. Avidi purvikam. It can be argued. And, according to Sanskrit grammar, it certainly can be put in this way, that avidi, vidi means rule, regulation of behavior, what one should or should not do. And avidi means against the rules, against the regulations. So Krishna's saying, Prabhupada translates, that they actually worship me indirectly, but they're doing so in a wrong way. And it's really in a wrong way because it's against scriptural injunction, against the real rules of how to live and what to do and what not to do. Right. So, anyway, we already read how Krishna said the demigod worshippers, that was, I think, 7th chapter, Alpa Medasa. Alpa Medasa. Alpa means small. Medasa, intelligence. Yeah. And here in the purport, in terms of doing things in a wrong way, Srila Prabhupada gives the example, it's right near the beginning of the purport. Prabhupada gives the example, someone doing something in the wrong way, someone watering a tree by pouring water on the leaves, the branches, the different whatever parts, rather than just pouring it straight on the roots. That's just so obvious. Of course, it's an example which Prabhupada gave on numerous occasions, actually. It's a well-known example, but it's a very clear example. You're doing it in the wrong way. That you want to help the tree, feed the tree, sustain the tree, so the tree is, so to speak, happy. But you're doing it in the wrong way. Yes, so demigod worship is like that. Everything's coming from Krishna. The demigods are just agents. And just like many people who work in shops, selling things in shops, many of them at least don't own the shop, and they don't own the goods in the shop. There's some other person who's the owner. So these people are just the salespeople, just the employees. So one should not think that this is the owner, I can make some big deal with him. Rather, if one wants to make a deal, one should go to the actual owner. So this is the idea. By worshipping the demigods as if they are the ones who are supplying the things which you want from them, you've got the wrong idea. They're just agents on behalf of Krishna, who's the owner. They're dispensing, distributing things. But actually, the person to deal with, the main person there, is Krishna. Yes, and Prabhupada also gives the example, what used to be very common in India, I think it's less common now, bribing some government worker, like in the railway station, to get a ticket on a train at the last moment. You know, you go to the people selling the tickets and they just tell you it's too late. So then you run out and try and find the conductor out by the train and try and work something out, so to speak. Give him some money, see if he'll let you in. So it's bribery. It's corruption. He has no right to do that. The trains belong to the government. Yes. So really speaking, demigod worship is a type of bribery. They're just dispensing. The owner is Krishna. He should receive whatever price, whatever offering that you are offering in order to get the thing. It should go to him. Yes, but the people are doing things in a wrong way. And here's a little thing Prabhupada was asked when he was giving a class on this verse in Japan. In Japan, someone asked Prabhupada if he had ever met King Indra. Okay, Interesting. Did he ever meet King Indra? Srila Prabhupada said, so what is the use of meeting others? That is stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Kamaisthaistaya ritagyana yajante anya devata. They go to other demigods for some benefit, their knowledge being lost. Ritagyana. If I want some favor in Japan, and if I know the emperor, I will ask him for the favor. Why should I go to a subordinate, even if he is a departmental manager? He may be very important in his department, but if I want a favor, and if I know the emperor, I would ask him, and he would immediately accede to my request. Accede means he would immediately agree to my request. Yeah, so that's the principle there. And now, in verse 24, Lord Krishna makes it even more clear. I am the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. Therefore, those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. Well, you know, that's normally what happens after some time at least. If you're doing something, but consistently you're doing it in the wrong way. Like if you're driving a car in the wrong way. I don't know, wrong side of the road, or too fast, or too wildly, or something. Then it's really just a question of time before there'll be some, you could say, some type of fall down or disaster. Something will really go wrong because you're doing it in the wrong way. If you're trying to have a relationship, excuse me, with someone, but you're not treating them nicely, you're not treating them sensitively, if you're treating them roughly, in unpleasant ways, maybe abusively, then it's just a question of time before the whole thing falls apart, because you're doing it in the wrong way. Yeah. So, yajna, in the purport here of verse 24, Srila Prabhupada makes the point that all these sacrifices for the demigods, the Sanskrit term is yajna. But yajna is a name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It just indicates that any yajna should be done for the Lord of yajna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yes. So that's the principle here. So what does it mean ultimately? You know what it means, actually. It means, and Prabhupada actually explains here, let me just read it, at the end of the purport. So Krishna is saying, I'm the enjoyer of all sacrifices because I'm the Supreme Master. Less intelligent persons, however, without knowing this fact, worship demigods for temporary benefit. Therefore they fall down to material existence and do not achieve the desired goal of life. And this is the point I was wanting to get at. If, however, anyone has any material desire to be fulfilled, he had better pray for it to the Supreme Lord, although that is not pure devotion, and he will thus achieve the desired result. Well, that's an interesting sort of perspective, But it's true. There's famous verse in the Bhagavatam, akama sarvakamava mokshakama udarade tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param, which means whether you have no desire or whether you have all desires or whether you're desiring liberation, so whatever you're looking for, you should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead in devotional service. Yes, this is what you should do. You should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Purusham Param, the Supreme Lord, in devotional service. That's what you should do. And of course, an interesting example who is given is the example of Dhruva Maharaj. He wanted everything material. He wanted a kingdom bigger than his grandfather's. And his grandfather was Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma's kingdom is the whole universe. That's everything. There is no more than that, at least within the universe. Shri Radha Radhanath Shri Giri Govardhan Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Yes, so he wanted a kingdom bigger than that of Lord Brahma, whose kingdom is everything in the universe. That's really an example of someone wanting everything, or even more than everything. So he tried to approach the Supreme Lord. It's a long story. And because he got the mercy of Narada and he was so determined to follow the directions of Narada, the Lord appeared to him. And he got the mercy face to face with the Lord. All right, now verse 25. Here again, this is the last verse in the section. It's the last verse in the section. And again, Lord Krishna basically, well, in a different way, he's explaining in a different way, a different angle of vision. He's explaining better to worship Krishna. So verse 25, those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings, and those who worship me will live with me. So, in other words, what might you say? You might say, all roads do not lead to Rome. Famous saying, I'm sure you've heard it before. There's a saying from way back, whenever it was, a few thousand years ago or something, when Rome was the center of life, at least as we know it, in Europe. Anyway, that's another story, isn't it? But Rome was really considered very central, and therefore there was a saying, all roads lead to Rome. In other words, you know, whatever path you take, it'll take you to the same destination as some other path. And there are people, there are many people actually, particularly amongst the more, you could say, like, what would you call them, New Age type people, kind of spiritual, quasi-spiritual, but they're not, you know, really seriously following some authorized path, like Krishna consciousness particularly. So there's a saying I mean, that sort of idea is appreciated by them, or the demigod worshippers. You worship Durga, I'll worship Shiva, someone else can worship Ganesh, and you can worship Krishna. We'll all get to the same goal. Or you do this yoga, I'll do that yoga. Even, I'll be quite honest, when I was young and foolish, sure, too foolish, just too foolish, we adopted the slogan, it's all one. Therefore, it doesn't matter. You can do anything, it doesn't matter. And there were a few very famous songs from those hippie days. Like there's the Led Zeppelin, what's it now? Stairway to Heaven. At the end, what does he sing? If you listen very hard, a song will come to you at last, when all is one and one is all, to be a rock and not to roll. How's that? I saw them singing that live about 50 years ago. Krishna, thank you for saving me. But yeah, that idea that it's all one, and you can do this or that, it'll lead to the same goal. I even saw, not like a couple of years ago, somehow I stumbled when George Harrison, actually it was some years ago then, when George Harrison passed away, I read a few articles of people expressing appreciation for him, and all of them mentioned about his spiritual interest and how he was, in his own way, he was very serious about these spiritual things. So yeah, I read a few of those, and I read one by, would you believe, of all people, Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones, who knew George very well, and he said that they had some discussions sometimes about these things. And he said that he told George, listen, don't worry about it. He said, all rivers flow into the ocean. So, you do your thing, and I'll just do whatever I do, and let's not worry about it. In other words, leave me alone. Yes, so this sort of idea is wrong. All roads don't lead to Rome. All rivers do not flow into the ocean, actually. There are rivers, there's one big one in Africa, which runs into the Kalahari Desert and just disappears, the Okavango. So, yeah. So it's not that you can worship the demigods or the ancestors or ghosts and spirits or Krishna and you'll reach the same goal, whatever that might be. No. Whatever you do, you will get what you deserve. In Krishna consciousness, not just in Krishna consciousness, but Krishna is very precise. Krishna is very precise. So whatever you do, you get certain results, and if you do something even not very different, just somewhat different, you'll get a somewhat different result. Yes, just like we give the example sometimes of when you put money in the bank, particularly if it's a business, like some fairly substantial business, and every day, there's many transactions, many sales, and many purchases. And some big company like that, they may make 100 purchases in a day, and they may make 1,000 sales in one day. And so you've got all these different amounts coming and going and coming and going, like practically every minute or every few minutes. Money is coming, money is going, again and again. But still, at the end, even though this is happening every day, and in some cases 7 days a week, 52 weeks in a year, but at the end of the year, the bank can tell you exactly how much money you've got. To the last cent, exactly. Because everything's very precise. And Krishna is very precise. And here, these are just, kind of a bit on the more general side, but it's the same principle. You worship demigods, you take birth amongst the demigods. Of course, if you worship this demigod, you will get this, and if you worship that demigod, you will get that. People choose, even Krishna mentions, we read earlier, that according to their natures, their desires, they choose particular demigods who are going to reciprocate with their particular desire, give them what they're looking for specifically. Yeah, it's not just you worship demigods and you just get, whatever. You worship a particular demigod, there's 33 million, to get some specific thing. That's how it works. But anyway, those who worship the demigods take birth among the demigods. Those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors. We mentioned a little bit about that last night. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. Here in South Africa, of course, it's different in different countries, but here in South Africa, the local people, they have their muti, they call it, their style of, mystical, magical things. And a very famous person in that is Tikolosh. You know Tikolosh, right? He knows Tikolosh, of course. So he's some sort of mystical, but kind of not very nice, right? Not nice. We don't like Tikolosh. He's like an aggressive, kind of unpleasant lower creature who may attack you. So, there's all sorts of traditions. There are traditions of worshipping demigods. There are traditions of worshipping ancestors. The African people also, many of them worship ancestors. And then there's worshippers of, like Tikolosh, or what they call voodoo in wherever, some other parts of Africa, is it, or wherever, I'm not sure. Yeah, so worshipping ghosts and spirits. And you take birth amongst the ghosts. You become a ghost. Oh, Krishna. So it depends what you do, who you worship, how you worship. But then Krishna says, those who worship me will live with me. And what does that mean? It means eternal life, full of bliss and full of knowledge, in the direct company of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, face to face. Yes. So different goals for different worshippers. Prabhupada talks about it in the purport here. But basically, all these people who are doing this worship or that worship, whatever it may be, they fall down. They fall down. They go to a worse position, even though they're doing some type of worship. And Prabhupada addresses this at the end of the purport. Unfortunately, many people have no information of these sublime planets where Krishna and Vishnu live. And because they do not know of them, they fall down. Even the impersonalists fall down from the Brahmajyoti. So the demigod worshippers, they fall down. We read about that, was it last night? I think it was last night. We read about how they enjoy on the heavenly planets, but then they come down to earth again. So the demigod worshippers fall down. The impersonalists fall down. Again, Lord Brahma says that in the 10th canto, very famous verse, 10:232. Patantyada. Even if they rise up to that level, but they fall down again. Patantyada. Because they have no appreciation for Krishna. And what to speak of those who worship the ancestors, it's like a lower level of demigod worship. And what to speak of those who worship ghosts and spirits, that's just very tamasic. And, it's not like you fall down from that, because if you're doing it, you're already in a fallen condition. Yes, so therefore the Krishna consciousness movement is distributing sublime information to the entire human society to the effect that by simply chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one can become perfect in this life and go back home, back to Godhead. Okay, so we will go into the next section, which is the final section, actually, in this chapter, from verse 26 to verse 34. But there's a lot here. There's really a lot here. So we'll read a couple of verses, 2 or maybe 3. Let's see how it goes. Maybe we'll read 3. Anyway, whatever we get through. And tomorrow night we will go through the rest, because it gets really deep and really amazing, just completely amazing. As we go on, 29, 30, like that. But let's make a start here. So this is the final section in this chapter, from verse 26 to verse 34 is the last verse in the chapter. And it's titled, we call it, The Glories of Directly Worshipping Krishna. And there are 2 sections, at least 2. Let me just check if there's more. There's 3 sections, look at that. But we'll go through the first, which is from 26 to 28. I'll read through them now, and, we'll do some explanation. Maybe we can finish all 3. If not, we'll just carry on tomorrow. Okay, anyway, the introduction to the whole section, the introduction to this subsection from 26 to 28 is as follows. Please listen. Krishna requests that one worship him with devotion, even using a leaf, a fruit, a flower, or some water. Or one can offer Krishna the austerities and charities that one performs. Such offerings will free one from all reaction to work. With one's mind thus fixed on Krishna, the worshipper will come to Krishna. So that's a little introduction to these three verses, 26, 27, and 28. So I'll read the three verses now, the translations. 26, very famous verse. Oh, such an important verse. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it. And 27, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. And 28, in this way you will be freed from bondage to work and its auspicious and inauspicious results. With your mind fixed on me in this principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and come to me. Just see Krishna's mercy. All right, so let's just go through them a bit. 26, if one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it. So it shows, and Prabhupada in different places talks about it in this sense. It shows how easy Krishna consciousness is. It's so easy. Lord Krishna here, he's giving a little list: leaf, flower, fruit, water, 4 things. Interesting, please note, Krishna uses the singular form. 1 leaf, 1 flower, 1 fruit, just a little water. How easy can it be? It's not you have to bring a whole box or bag or whatever of leaves or fruits or flowers. Of course, if you can, then you definitely should. You definitely should. But if you can't, bring a lot. If all you have is 1 leaf, just bring it and offer it to Krishna, and he will accept it if it's offered with devotion and love. So, it's so easy. Srila Prabhupada says, in the middle of the first paragraph, Srila Prabhupada says, who is such a fool that he does not want to be Krishna conscious by the simple method and thus attain the highest perfectional life of eternity, bliss, and knowledge? Yes, so he doesn't want anything from non-devotees. He doesn't want anything from non-devotees. They can keep it. They can just keep it. And Prabhupada says like that. Let's see. Krishna accepts even a little flower from his pure devotee. We're in the middle of the first paragraph. He does not want any kind of offering from a non-devotee. Elsewhere, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he makes a very nice little comment that Krishna, he says that Krishna says, I am not hungry. I'm not hungry. But devotion, bhakti, is the appetizer. Devotion is that attractive thing, which even though Krishna is not hungry, he doesn't need to eat, but still he thinks, I must eat this, because there's bhakti there. So it's very nice. It's a very wonderful and important principle. And let me just tell you one little story in this regard. It's a famous story, actually. It's from Mahabharata, that when Lord Krishna went one time to Hastinapur, the capital city where Duryodhana and company were ruling. This was before the battle. Lord Krishna went there to Hastinapur to try to negotiate peace. So he arrived, he's moving around the city, and he met Duryodhana. And Duryodhana, he's like the acting king, you could say. Effectively, he's the king. And he saw Krishna, who, important person, important visitor, because Krishna was like a prince from Dwaraka in that sense. So he invited Krishna, please come to the palace for lunch. We'll make a royal feast for you. Unfortunately, Duryodhana is not a devotee. He's really not a devotee. In fact, he's like anti-devotee, anti-Krishna. But he offered like that, and no doubt his cooks would prepare some excellent food. They're very capable people. But Krishna was not attracted because Duryodhana is not a devotee. And for Krishna, it's not just a matter of eating, just eating something tasty. He wants the bhakti, the devotion. So he didn't want to go. And he kept moving. He was moving around the city. And he met his great devotee, Vidura, who invited him to come for lunch. Vidura was very poor, but still he invited the Lord, please come to my house, and me and my wife will provide you with lunch. So Lord Krishna went there, even though knowing that it's very unlikely they're going to get some, very nicely cooked, a variety of different preparations, that sort of thing. So he went there. And he was so happy to be with them. They were so happy to be that he had come. But then they looked and they saw all they had was bananas. They had nothing else, only bananas. So Krishna was in ecstasy being with his devotees. Vidura and his wife were in ecstasy having the Lord as their guest. And they started feeding Krishna bananas. The wife peeled the bananas, and Vidura handed them to the Lord. But they were in so much ecstasy, Vidura and his wife, they didn't notice that the wife, when she peeled the bananas, she was throwing away the fruit and giving Vidura the skin. And Vidura was in such ecstasy, he didn't notice. He just handed the skins to the Lord. And Krishna was in so much ecstasy, he didn't notice. He just ate the skins. And after a while, Krishna eating skin after skin, Krishna said, these are the best bananas I've ever eaten. Because devotion is the appetizer. That's where the taste comes from, actually. Not just some skillful cooking. Of course, if a devotee also cooks skillfully, well, that should be done too. But the real taste is the love. And don't you now start thinking that you should start eating banana skins. Maybe you've been missing out for some time. You didn't know the secret. No, there's a reason we don't eat them. It's because they're not very nice. Okay, yeah. So Krishna is telling us what he will accept, what he will eat. And just by sort of default, we can then understand what he doesn't eat, what he will not accept, even if it's offered to him. He doesn't have to list out everything. I will accept all of this. I won't accept all of that. He just tells us what he will eat, what he will accept, and other things he won't accept. So therefore we understand he will accept things from the lacto-vegetarian realm. He doesn't mention milk here, but of course in so many other places Krishna has milk and milk products, so that's included. So the thing is, it must be offered with devotion. That's the essential thing. And there's a little excerpt here, Prabhupada speaking, when he was in Durban, South Africa, 1975, when he gave a class, did a program in the City Hall, the Durban Town Hall, City Hall. So, one man, Indian man, asks Prabhupada, Swamiji, I'd like to know from you whether or not it is necessary for a person to be a vegetarian or to have a special diet to be able to respond to your teachings. So, be vegetarian or some special diet. Prabhupada, yes. Because if you want to be Krishna conscious, that is the whole teaching. You have to act according to the instruction of Krishna. So vegetarian or not vegetarian, it is not a very important thing. Either you eat meat or vegetable. Both of them have got life. That is the nature's way. Jivo jivasya jivanam. One life has to eat another life. That is nature's law. But Krishna consciousness means he does not anymore eat anything which is not offered to Krishna. That is Krishna consciousness. We take prasadam. Whatever is offered to Krishna, we take that. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam, Yome Bhaktya Prayachati Tadaham Ashnami. So just like if you ask some guest at your home, you'll ask him, what shall you eat, sir? What can I offer you? Similarly, when you invite Krishna to your home or to your temple, you should prepare foodstuff according to Krishna's instruction, not according to your whims. So Krishna says, Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam, Yome Bhaktya Prayachati. Anyone who offers me patram, that's vegetable, pushpam, vegetable, and liquid things like milk, water. And you can prepare so many other things from vegetables. If you offer to Krishna and take prasadam, then you're free. That is yagya shishdashana santo muchante salva kilbashai. If you accept food which is offered for yagya, yagya means acceptance by Krishna, then you're free from sinful life. Otherwise you're responsible. Either you eat meat or vegetable, it doesn't matter. Haribol. All right, let's just go on to the next verse. So now Arjuna may wonder, well, what should I do? Maybe Arjuna feels he's not such a good cook anyway. I shouldn't say that. So what should I do? And Krishna speaks, verse 27, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. In other words, Arjuna, Krishna's telling Arjuna, he's telling us, we should mold our lives in such ways that everything is dedicated to Krishna. Everything is done for Krishna. Whatever we do, anything we do, even just regular things, should all be done for Krishna. And verse 28, in this way, you'll be freed from bondage to work and its auspicious and inauspicious results. With your mind fixed on me in this principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and come to me. So, well, there's a few points here. I think we'll go through the purport tomorrow night. But basically, this is the result. This is the result of offering Krishna your food, and doing, just dedicating your life, your work, your free time, your family, your money, whatever you have, offer it to Krishna. In this way, you become freed from the bondage to work, and it's both auspicious and inauspicious results. And with your mind and your whole life fixed on Krishna, then you'll be liberated and you'll come to Krishna. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.